Okay, so hi cadets, welcome back to my channel. Welcome. Hi cadets, welcome. Welcome back to my channel. If you haven't been here, my name is Kadri, and this is just my social experiment right now. Whatever. Let's jump right into it. I'm a little. It's my birthday tomorrow. Okay, I'm feeling good. So yeah. So what am I looking to do? This is something like my version of the artist way, which I plan on. This is my version of like putting my creativity into practice because I do so much overthinking that I don't do anything and I'm tired of having nothing to look back on. Um, so I'm building my creativity into my everyday life um, rather than just when I'm feeling inspired. It's crazy that The Artist Way came out in 1995 because that's when I was born and tomorrow's my birthday. And this is where I plan to begin my high fashion research and brand myself. I've wrote all of this down, so whatever. I'm posting this regardless of how I feel about it because I'm just getting started. And like I said, I'm tired of having nothing to look back on. The aesthetic will grow as it goes on. And I want to keep all of this stuff up so that one thing I want to know when I see somebody with a huge following or somebody that made it is how did they start? How did they get started? And you almost never can find something that's like a testament of what they actually did. And that's what I want to give to the world is when I make it, when you see me on the Breakfast Club, or I really don't like them anymore, but when you see me having interviews and you see that I've made it and you see that I'm in a place that maybe you want to be, you can see the beginning of where I started. With this series, I plan to dissect each chapter of fashioning identity to learn more about fashion and relate it to where I am in life. This is the beginning of myself building a visible personal brand online and showing my journey, learning about fashion, and therefore encouraging others to learn about fashion, being that it can be an intimidating thing. Like I said in my previous video, I got into Parsons this year, but I don't think that I'll be able to go because I don't have the money. But I'm operating off of the fact that I'm still the person that got into Parsons, regardless of if I'm able to go or not, because of money. Money is just money. Everything is just everything until you give it meaning. And I'm using that to just boost my self-esteem. The core of fashioning identity is ambivalence, the psychological state of experiencing simultaneous contradictory feelings or beliefs toward a person, object, or action. For example, Kennedy influencing the end of top hats and marking status. He couldn't decide whether to keep it on or not during his inauguration, and top hats were often worn during special occasions in the West, fedoras for casual. So him being in a position of power and not wanting to wear his top hat is not the one thing that changed it, but it is something that influenced the change of not wearing top hats to every special occasion. This happened again when Obama was in office from going tieless so often, and it was said to be a way to humanize politics. A balancing act between tradition and innovation plus authority / identification with the public. So it was basically saying like making things more accessible, making things more relatable is the way to get people to engage with politics because otherwise it seems inaccessible. What is fashion? And these are just notes that I've taken from reading the chapter. Each chapter, I'm going to do a video like this and tie it in with the thoughts that I have throughout the week. And this is how I'm adding creativity into my everyday life. I feel crazy right now because I've had a little drink or two. And yeah, but I'm going to post this and I'm probably not even going to edit it, honestly, but whatever. What is fashion? Fashion is a complex cultural phenomenon made up by the creative process of garments, cultural affiliation, commercial industry, and consumer needs. This creates a fashion system that brings creators to the consumers. I don't. So, me filming this video is also informing me on how to take notes because I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about right now. Like, I know what I'm talking about, but I don't know if it's gonna be able to come across to people that watch this video. But like I said, this is my beginning. This is just me documenting, me researching fashion and showing you that you can do it too. Because by the time you see this, I'll probably have, you know, a little something up my sleeve, a little, a little following, a little something. And when you watch this, it's gonna seem like, okay, I can start wherever I'm at. Cause that's literally what I'm doing right now. I'm starting wherever I'm at. Eventually, a system was created to bring fashion to consumers. Fashion used to just only be for the higher ups, and everybody else was just living in rags, pretty much. Fashion has become social currency, and it's not just about the money you have, as it has been in the past, like I just said, but who you are signaling to. Mainly to communicate social belonging and individual distinction, which is ambivalence in itself because you want to. I know me personally, when I think about what what I want to wear, I want to signal to people that understand fashion and understand personal style and things like that. I'm not really people that aren't into fashion. I'm not signaling to them. I'm signaling to the people that can basically teach me more about fashion. After World War II, ready to wear became a thing. Fashion flowed across instead of top down, which was fashion only being for the higher ups trickling down. It started going across, so like your peers in fashion. Dior began licensing the brand to bring more people in, which was saying like more retail stores other than Dior can sell Dior, or more products can have Dior on it, even though it's not like a haute couture garment from Dior. Even if they couldn't afford couture. Courrèges, which is a brand that I love and is in my ethos, were pioneers in ready to wear. It made things more accessible. So now we have things like H&M and stuff like that that brings fashion to the people for a price that people can afford. But before that, it was ready to wear, which is like haute couture is still extremely expensive and they don't have that many clients. Like the few clients that they do have accounts for most of the brand's yearly income. You pay a lot for haute couture because it's custom. They use different techniques, fabrics. There's a whole list of things that allow things to be considered haute couture, and everybody can afford that. So ready to wear is basically like what you would wear every day, but still designer, still quality, still, what people consider fashion. Ready to wear caused the lines between casual wear and evening wear to be blurred. Women didn't have time to change after work before going to dinner. It gave more standardized sizes. You could participate in fashion regardless of economic status, and you could go from showing money to, no, that's not what I meant to say. It went when this different dynamic from high, low to a cross became apparent, it became a thing for the higher ups to wear more simple things like ready to wear because it showed that I don't have to try too hard. Like people from the lower classes would want haute couture, but now that it was more available to everybody because of the ready to wear realization, um, people the higher ups wanted to seem like I don't have to do too much. Inconspicuous ostentation is something that I wrote down. It means understated luxury rather than flashy, which is what I was just saying about how the higher ups wanted to make it seem like I'm so rich that I don't have to try too hard. I don't have to try to make it look like I need haute couture because I don't. I'm rich. Another note that I wrote down is change in itself does not change. I still don't know how to I still don't know how to explain that in language. Like, I still don't have the language to really explain that. Change in itself does not change. I'm thinking change is constantly changing because if something is what it is and it changes, it's not what it was. But change itself doesn't change. And that's a big thing in fashion because, like Heidi Klum says on Project Runway, one day you're in and one day you're out. But change in itself does not change because it's change means transforming. Fashioning identity requires ambivalence management. So basically, to have your personal style, you have to understand that regardless of what you do, you're going to be in a crowd, you're going to be in a niche. Fashioning identity requires ambivalence management. Regardless of what you do, you're going to be in a niche. You're going to be in a crowd. Whether that's your own thing, whether you think that's your own thing, there's nothing new under the sun. You're signaling to someone. People that aren't into fashion are signaling to people that aren't into fashion or that are into fashion and they're saying, I'm not into fashion like that. I don't care. If you are into fashion, you're signaling to people who aren't into fashion and saying, I'm into this, you're not, you don't understand it. And they're simultaneously signaling to people who are into fashion, they're like, look, I get it. Flows have become more complex, which pushes people to scramble signals of social belonging through visual hijacking and protesting. So, for example, like the punk thing, people that are into punk are saying, I'm rejecting haute couture because I can't afford it and normal people can't afford this. I'm showing that you can be into fashion, even if you're not into fashion. I'm showing you that I don't care about that. I care that I'm a good person. And these things that I'm wearing, these boots, these oversized jeans, and this makeup shows that I'm rejecting whatever the clean aesthetic is of haute couture. The element of resistance is enhanced. Some people stay with the what's now, and some people need more time to catch up. That's what keeps fashion going. People that don't understand and that just want to appeal to a large audience and that aren't necessarily into fashion but are into attention or whatever, they keep fashion moving, because people that are into fashion are onto what's now, what's next. They know what's going on. People in the middle, they kind of understand what's going on in fashion. They know they have to keep up, but they don't really know because they're not into it like these people over here. And the people that don't care, they're looking at the trends and things that these people are keeping up with to signal to these people, but they're signaling to their peers. So it kind of becomes like instead of a up down or side to side, the cycle gets, what's the word? The cycle gets a lot of people just how do I say? The signals go everywhere. And that's what keeps fashion going. How does this apply to where I am in life? I'm creating myself as opposed to finding myself. Again, with more knowledge and wisdom. This is my reintroduction to the world with a more clear, confident understanding of who I am without downplaying it to play it safe. I can even apply that to me starting YouTube and having these videos that I don't think I'm predicting anything on like a cultural level or whatever. I'm just telling my thoughts of where I am as someone who loves fashion but never researched it because I felt kind of like intimidated by fashion. This introduction directly connects to me creating my personal brand, mapping out who I want to signal to, how this branding will make me feel and push me forward. And everything I wrote in my personal ethos prior to rereading this chapter to wanting both individuality and belonging, just like the book says, because the fashioning identity talks about wanting individuality, but knowing that that individuality also means that you're even though you're trying to be individual, you're signaling to someone because, like I said before, there's nothing new under the sun. It's about wanting something constant in a system that is chaotic and always changing. It's like putting my stake in the ground as I observe and witness what happens around me. Fashion is a tornado, and I'm the storm chaser. I'm the storm chaser. So I want to engage in fashion in a way that is me observing and not me being a victim of fashion. Like, all these trends and things can happen, but I want to have my own personal style and I want to have my way of engaging regardless of what's happening and what's now and what's trendy. Because I'm into fashion, I want to research and learn exactly what it is that I like. And becoming a master is in my chart as a Pisces Saturn, making learning about fashion part of my daily routine and building something that I can share, which also ties into my interaction with YouTube and making these videos and not really editing them and just being okay with whatever aesthetic it is. I am the aesthetic. And just posting it so I can have something to look back on. I can have something to build on instead of just thinking about it. I'm differentiating myself by having knowledge rather than doing what a celebrity or popular creator is doing. I'm positioning myself in a different part of the hierarchy of fashion and flows. I want this to be authentic. I want when someone stumbles along my content or my creations, I don't want to call it content, I'll call it my creations. When somebody stumbles along my creations, I want them to understand that it's possible for them to do it too. And it doesn't have to look a certain way. It doesn't have to be a certain way. Somebody's going to pick up on it. You never know who's watching you. You never know what opportunities will come. And ultimately, you're the creator of your own reality. So just by sharing your thoughts and ideas, that's how things come to you because your reality is a reflection of who you are. And if you're a person who shares who you are and gets opportunities and whatever else you want in life, reality is going to reflect that back to you, even if you don't see it right then in that moment. And that's honestly what I'm teaching myself by recording these videos, even in a place where I don't like what I'm sharing honestly right now. This is coming from me starting from a place where I was doing anything to gain an audience instead of what felt good to me. I was making TikToks being like really salesy and like, oh, I have to have a hook. I have to have a this. I have to teach somebody something. I have to do that. Da, 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 da. And it just wasn't working out for me. Like, even though it was getting me views and followers, I didn't feel fulfilled. It was getting me nowhere fast. And even if I did gain some followers, a snob with nothing behind it is just pretentious. That is kind of boring and anticlimactic for me. Brenda Hashtag says that the way to be interesting is to actually be interested. And I am actually interested. And that's what I want to show. I don't want to show the shell of it because I feel like that's what content creation is right now. Everything comes together. And Ryan said, no more references of the reference. Just read the thing and we will listen. We will listen to Ryan Finn. That we will. So my conclusion is, I love connecting things. I'm a believer that everything is interconnected. I'm even going to connect all of my interests here somehow. I like to read. I like to write. I like to watch movies. I like listening to music. I love fashion. And I just love experiences. I love the world. I love people. Besides the obvious fashion, those including trading, movement. I love to dance. I forgot saying that. Visuals. I'm always thinking of visuals in my head. And astrology. I'm very excited to share my journey through exposure therapy, which is this, because I don't know how this video is going to come together, but this is a assignment for therapy. And growing a foundation and a platform out of it so I can live my life, live the life that I dream about every day. I want to create my own job. Even though that maybe I don't know exactly where I'm going with it, I know that I can create something. I can connect anything. I've always craved connecting the past. I've always craved connecting to the past because I'm a military brat and I moved around a lot as a kid. And watching movies, I would wish that, I had my best friend that I grew up with for 15 years or whatever the case. Now I have friends like that, but it's still not the same as growing up with a person. I no longer wish to let the future paralyze me into doing nothing. I think I said that at the beginning of the video. That only leaves the present. This is my stake in the ground while the world happens around me. And that goes back to what I was saying about the storm and being a storm chaser. I want to be an observer and share my observations and not let the storm dictate me or my life. My world revolves around me. Yes, I'm a Leo stellium, 10th house, in case you were wondering. And quicker and less decisions for me, I'll take it. I will make it look pretty later, but knowing my Venusian self, I'm also a Libra stellium, it's already pretty anyway. And with that, that is the end of my episode. I'm excited. I hope this makes sense, but I'm going to post it even if it doesn't, because along the way, I learn what I like, what I don't like, and that's all that matters to me anymore. I don't care about what's going to get views. I don't care about what's going to get numbers. I don't care about how anybody thinks of this. This is for me. And I feel like sharing my inner world is what's going to get me to where I want to be and not what I think everybody else wants. If you made it this far, thanks, cadets, for getting this far. And like, subscribe, and share if you think somebody else could benefit from my thoughts.